easy nowadays for people to fearmonger. It's easy nowadays for people to make salacious statements like that. And unfortunately, there are going to be men and women that eat it up because they don't want to deal with the nuance of life. They don't want to deal with pain. They're very pain avoidant, not understanding that whether you like it or not, pain is something that we all humans have to go through. Now, the toxicity aspect of it, there are things we could do to mitigate it, but how many people are willing to do the self-work to say, hey, yes, I had a bad experience, but that bad experience doesn't necessarily define me.
What a waste of energy.
Yep.
It's beautiful. JR, welcome to the conversation, bro. Welcome to the conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well.
Hey.
And a couple of ladies looking for you, bro.
They're always looking for him. It's not because of your personality either.
Listen, there's some people that are definitely coming after me because of my personality, apparently. People, I'm catching,
That's
catching
positive,
heat.
that one.
But yeah, interesting convo. I think the danger with dating someone that you're not attracted to is it kind of makes you feel like you're more attractive than them, and it can manifest in behaviors that are going to hurt the person. And when you're falling in love with someone and you're investing that emotional connection and the time, I think it can be very tough to have that type of relationship dynamic. If, like, I've been there where, I've had a relationship where I probably was that schmedium guy. And I tell you what, anytime there was an argument, I got reminded of that. So, yeah, I know it's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it's like it would come out in behaviors. So I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that. But I personally wouldn't do it myself. Like, if I'm attracted, like, attraction is a very key component of why I'm going to be in a relationship with someone. And it's not the only thing. There are lots of things that I find attractive in order for me to get there, but beauty is only skin deep. And if I invest that time to get to know you, open up myself, be vulnerable and all that stuff, and you're not feeling me in terms of attraction, then I'm sure there's going to be a lack of affection. There's going to be some choice words when you get mad. There's going to be a harsher tone, harsher delivery, because you don't rate me. You feel what I'm saying? So, but I wouldn't want to put any lady that I date in that position. I'm staying in my lane. I know my league. I'm not going to punch above my weight. And I've never actually punched above my weight as far as I'm concerned. So, like I said, I feel like it is a childish way to look at it. If you're setting out to automatically date someone that you're not really attracted to them, you're probably attracted to what they can do for you or how they make you feel, rather than them being wowed by you and your physical. And yeah, like I said, it's a slippery slope, because you're setting the relationship down a very tumultuous path where, you know, the moment something goes wrong, you're gonna throw it in their face. You're gonna use it against them, that they're not as aesthetically pleasing to you. So don't think it's gonna work.
Wait, JR. Wait, do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember a while back in the chat, like on Instagram, like I don't know if it was Precious or Charlene that sent it, but there was this video where I think three women were talking about an experience where a guy said to his girl, I think maybe he might have been drunk, but he said to the effect, "I wish you were white."
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
White, like that whole. It's actually kind of sad when, if you're able to tell somebody to the face that you're not physically appealing for whatever reason, the emotional damage you can do to a person, you might set them on a trajectory where they just do some wrecky stuff.
Dear. Look, you're right. Listen, people make content, and a lot of the time it's stemming from hurt, it's stemming from fear, it's stemming from anxiety, and you know, people buy into it because they're feeling the same thing, or they've gone through the same thing, or they live vicariously through that person, right? And color, you know, when you're getting into that type of rhetoric, then it's even more of a slippery slope because the internet's forever. And even if your preference change, your views are still up there, right? So never a good thing to do that.
I'm gonna say something, yeah, that some people might not be happy with me about, but it's something that is, happens a lot that I see. You ready? Sure,
Ready,
you ready?
bro?
Ready?
Fire away.
So, especially from a Christian context, right? The conversations are always usually about character. Now, none of us here are saying because we need that attractiveness that's the only thing we're going to pay attention to. We know that causes its own problems, but we're giving things in context with balance. That is the attraction that's initially going to bring us in, but obviously it's your character, our union, how we are together, etc. That's going to maintain what we have. But what I've noticed, in fact, not just even in the church, but also outside of the church, is that certain people, because of how they feel about their characters, I'm going to say that again, because of how they feel about their characters, they overinflate their attractiveness. And then they go for men or women who are just not in their league. Men or women who actually do not find them physically attractive. And this is dangerous. Because when you're doing this to yourself, you might think you're of a certain standard, of a certain way, but it doesn't mean that the other person does. And I've seen this a lot of the time. And I mean, I feel like women are a lot more bolder to tell a man, this is how I exactly feel about you, especially with what the guys are saying here. But as men, I mean, we know it's a it's a catch-22 situation. Like we know what it's gonna do to you, way more than it will do to a guy, and that's what we understand. As women, you're made differently, you think differently, your emotions are shown differently. The way you will deal with a guy saying that you're not attractive is going to be a lot more of a bigger blow than if it's going to the other way. We understand this. So guys don't usually say this, but it shows up in their behavior. And I feel like if instead of thinking that because of your character that you can, get this higher standard man, for me personally, is just don't even think about it like that. Just know that your character is gonna attract a type of man who's gonna meet your character and who's gonna love you in the way that you need and appreciate the type of person that you are. Forget about, okay, I can go for this guy who is a pretty boy or a guy who all the girls like, etc. Because ultimately he still has to find you attractive and vice versa. And I feel like this is all part of the problem. Because in the Lulu world that we have, the Lulu's delusion that we have in today's world where people are just not realistic with, I don't want to use this term, but their marketplace value. I'm not talking about sex, forget about all that stuff and all that body count or whatever, forget about all that stuff. I'm just talking about how genuinely do people see you? Because if you keep going for the top and you keep getting disappointed, there is an aspect of where your look might not fit into that top of what they usually go for. So you have to be careful. And I say this to women and men, by the way, to say, just be realistic. I have a guy who used to do this all the time and his heart always used to be broken. And don't get me wrong, his missus is pretty, but he's made a different choice in terms of her actual look. He's married now. He's enjoying life. He's completely happy. But I had to have that same conversation with him. Like, bro, these types of girls may entertain you, but they do not look at you in the same way that they look at a different type of guy. So you have to understand what you keep putting yourself into. And I'm not saying people are, and I'm not trying to say don't see yourself as, pretty or handsome or anything. I'm just saying to you, don't just focus on how you feel that you are. Understand where are you operating? How do these people actually view you? Right? Because there are people that might go for a different type of race, by the way, because they see, they might see you as, something special, whereas maybe where your origin doesn't. These are all conversations that happens, but that's what I've noticed is that some certain people are unrealistic about where they place. I know it's not a great conversation to have, but it's one where a lot of people do hurt themselves because of it.
Can I just ask for a little bit of clarification, please, Jay?
Not her putting on the sweet voice.
Can't hear you.
Let me talk for her. What she said is that she wants a little bit more clarification.
On?
You said some people are going to be offended by this. Who is meant to be offended by that, Jay?
The men or women who know that their general look is not the look that a lot of people might say, wow, you look amazing, compared to what they usually see out there because of society, because of culture or whatever. But they feel that their character trumps all that. That's what I'm going to say might be offended because of how they feel about themselves, because there are certain truths that they probably would have noticed in their lives. For example, growing up, there was a certain type of girl that I would have said, you look beautiful, but I'm not even going to go there because I know that you do not see me as those type of guys. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean. Okay. For context, I was not talking about you, Precious. I was just talking about gender, so I don't know what.
No. It's because you made it sound like we in the group chat were saying that. So I was like, no. So that's why I was asking.
It's not generally. No.
Levels have to be known. Levels have to be known. Jay, that's absolutely right. Everyone's got to know their levels. And if you're not that guy to that girl, it's kind of long. Just going to be honest with you, it's kind of long. If you're not that guy, now she's explaining it to the group chat and saying, before I show you the picture, he is amazing. You know how messed up that is? You know how, and do you know how you know that? You know that because she doesn't say you're sexy. She doesn't say you're fine. I go back to what I said at the very beginning. She says you're nice, you're cute, Even you have to be careful. You have to even be careful of handsome sometimes because handsome is sometimes can be a little bit tricky. You know what I mean? But it's a little bit borderline sometimes. Can be honest with you. Sometimes even handsome can be a little bit borderline, but cute and he's nice. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna tell you the truth. We know. Listen, that lady will tell you within a few seconds whether you're good looking or not. Do you know? Listen, you just know when that girl says, "Oh," I've had one girl. Listen, one girl said to me, she was like, "Oh," and then she's, you know what I mean? Or when they use an expletive before they say how good looking you are, you're good looking to that person. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, don't settle for less, people. That's what I'm trying to say. Man, them, let's not settle for less. Don't settle for that girl because she's fire, but she doesn't look at you like you fire. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because you'll always be you'll always be in tow. You'll always be in lieu. You'll always be in the background trying to catch up. There's no point. Go for somebody that likes you the same way, that with the intensity that you like them. And I'm saying that there's always going to be men out there who will willingly put their pocket ahead of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They don't mind. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
What would you do if a woman actually said to you, you know what, Culture, he aight.
I'm in the wrong relationship, clearly. No, I'm being deadly serious. Listen, I'm being deadly serious. I must have misjudged it. Because let me just be real with you. Spending time with women and dealing with certain types of women, you know which women are gonna deal with you. Look, some will even deal with you on a particular basis, but never date you. Same way as us guys do sometimes, right? But you know when that girl likes you. You know what I'm saying? You know when she's attracted to you, your face, she's attracted to your body, she's attracted to everything about you. Everything about you makes sense to her. You know what I mean? You know when it makes sense that even when they're next to you, they're even smelling you. Listen, look, you know when they're on you, you know when they put their hand on your chest, they even want to remove their hand from the chest. You understand? Yeah. You know when they can't stop touching you, that's when you know. And that's for the jump. I'm not talking about when you're in a relationship later on, because of course people grow in a relationship and get comfortable and familiar. So those things can come along. But I'm saying early on, you know, when they can't even, they want to be around you, but they're even scared, they're a bit anxious about being around you. Yay! Please don't settle for less, okay? Yeah. It's he's I. You know what I mean? You're going back to tell your girlfriends that, you know, listen, girls, before you say anything, he's a YouTuber. He has many subscribers. Okay. He's got a Nyash, look, and he's chocolatey. Like, those descriptions are not helping nobody. Those descriptions are not helping anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that, okay? I want you to see me and be like, whew. And the reason why is because once everything's stripped away, let's be honest, there are going to be days when you're going to look at each other and say, you know what? You're freaking hot, but you're annoying. If you're ugly and annoying, it's a double whammy. And I can tell this for sure. You know, remember you're in school? Remember there's always, and both women and men can testify to this, there's always that one person who was ugly to you that was doing too much. They're always on your case. They're the one that's asking you, are you okay? Texting you, calling you at the wrong time. When you get a phone call or a message and you wanted that girl that you like to text you, and instead it's that girl that's messaging you. You know there's one person in your life that was always doing that thing. That's the kind of energy you're going to have for your partner when you realize how ugly they are in a relationship. Because when everything's worn off and then you've had your final argument, you are going to look at them and be like, you're now that girl or that guy who, when he was texting you in school, like you saw the message like, he's messaging me again, or she's messaging me again, or she's calling me again, or she's coming over now to come and have a conversation. You know exactly what that feels like. Y'all don't like it. I don't want to see that in your relationships, guys. Don't settle, okay? Don't settle.
Bro, if I stop, continue.
I'm gonna add to that as well, yeah?
Yes, pass the baton on, go on. Run that leg.
Ladies, I'll be surprised if you haven't done this at least once, where your friend has broken up with someone, and based on the man's look, you have said, well, you could have done better anyway. I'm surprised you even went for that. So it happens. I mean, I've had ladies actually genuinely say to me, for their friends to say, like Cordial, like you're saying, when they show the picture, they're like, yeah, oh my gosh. They love it. They don't want their friends to get with their man, of course, but they love it. They love it. So, I mean, I'm not saying every woman is like that, of course they're not, but these are the points that's being made. As guys, do you know what? We do want our guys to find our women attractive, so to speak, but we're not so wrapped up in we want if we're mature, that we want our men to look at our women as like tasty, because we're just different and we know what comes of that. You know, looking at your woman's bum and all that type of stuff. That's not happening. But it happens. You know what I mean? These are conversations that happen. These are things that people actually admit. And just like the reverse is actually, spoken about as well. Like I can't, in fact, I like to give my real life circumstances. My missus actually said to me that her friends and her family actually said that Jason is the best guy you've been with. I mean, that means nothing to me, but imagine those guys from before. I'm like, rah. Your friends and your family actually look that deep. Like, rah, okay. But to the guy, they're like, oh, hi, you're nice, you're this, you're that. That means to me, like, yo, a lot of people out here lying. They're really lying. Come on, man. Like, this is why I feel the way I feel. Like, honestly, I'll say it again. You want your missus to look at you as like, wow, like, mwah. You want your man to look at you and say, look, wow, mwah. It just does something differently. Because to me, if you don't look at that person as attractive, or to me, you're just settling. But I know that might be a bit controversial, but to me, you're just settling. And what you're settling is for other things that person might come with. They might be rich.
That's
also these ugly uncles, whether they in fact, there's a show. It's not Housewives of Dubai. It's called something else. But I remember watching that and seeing one typical normal looking guy, belly, everything else, and looking at his wife thinking, how on earth did you get that? It's because of money. And she was throwing tantrums. She was doing all sorts. She threw a tantrum because her wardrobe is too small in her mansion, and told him, buy me a bigger mansion so I can fit my clothes in. And I'm like, what is going on here? But, anyway, I don't want to talk too much because it start getting controversial. But, we see this and we can admit, how did he get her? Because of money. So, you know what I mean? You don't want to really be talked about like that, because once what's attracting you goes, then what? So anyway, if I start talking, it'll be a different scenario. So let's go.
I think the thing also that we have to remember is people prioritize attraction in a different order to how some other people may do it, right? So if it depends what stage you are in life, what's going on in your life, what attracts you to the person that you're into, right? So yeah, like we do hear a lot about women wanting provision from men and all that. Do they prioritize that provision over the aesthetics? Like, would they wake up with that big belly man because he's providing certain things for them in terms of paying the bills, or like the mortgage or the house or whatever? Or is there the case that where it's the opposite, where the guy may be attractive but he doesn't have 2 pennies in his pocket at one given time? You feel what I'm saying? So it depends on the way that it's prioritized. And I'll also say, like, we do also see a lot of it's done in humor, but I think there is some truth to it. Like when you see those videos where like the lady might be in the kitchen or in the living room doing something, and her man just walks past her and doesn't pat the booty, doesn't smack her on the butt, and she feels a way about it because she's like, how can you just walk past me? Right? When your guy's feeling you, he's going to be all over you. Like, any opportunity he gets, he's not going to see you, but he's going to let it be known that he finds you attractive. Right? Now, I want to say that as men, like, we probably need that as well, but obviously not the pat on the butt, but we need some type of affirmation that you're feeling us as well, some type of reinforcement. Yeah, don't just walk past me like I'm some stranger in the house, or don't just talk to me any kind of way. Like, there has to be something that you do when you see me to give me the vibes that you're actually interested, right? Not just lip service either, but I'm not even saying like PDA all the time or anything, but I'm saying there has to be something that makes me feel like you're feeling me, and I'm definitely going to be showing you how I'm feeling you. I think when attraction is prioritized by one person and the other person doesn't, then there's that potential for someone's feelings to get hurt when they're not being shown that type of attention. Yeah. And that type of hurt can come can manifest as a form of rejection as well. So it may play on their self-esteem. And if the person that is doing this knows what they're doing and how it's making you feel, then you definitely know the writing's on the wall for that relationship, because you're gonna be at a losing position all the time. You're gonna always want validation from your partner. And if they're not the type of person that wants to give it, or they don't think of you highly enough or rate you highly enough to give it, like involuntarily, like innately, if they'd feel warm enough with you to be able to do that, then you gotta get out of that relationship. It's not love.
Do you know what I'll say? Yeah, I think that women rationalize these types of things in ways that men just don't. And you guys are more black and white about it. Like I said earlier, that you're either attracted to her or you're not. But I think that we as women, we talk ourselves into things. We rationalize things, not just looks, but other things as well. And I wish we wouldn't do that. And I'll leave it there.
One of the things we hear a lot is a sense of humor. You know, like typically a sense of humor. If your guy's gonna banter with you or make flirtatious comments to you, usually, like we're expecting to, how can I say, we're expecting to do that to show appreciation to you, right? That's why we're banting with you, we're flirting with you, we're playing little kiss chase and you know, all those type of things, dropping the lyrics and spitting game and bars and all that stuff, because we're trying to show you we're attracted. But again, the reciprocation is important as well, or at least being aware that because that person is attracted to you, then, you know, there is an obligation. If you're in a relationship, then show something back. Don't just sit back and enjoy all the compliments coming your way, and then you're not prepared to, like, you don't find your partner attractive enough for you to reply with something. May not even necessarily be equally, because you may be awkward or inhibited in some way, but, you know, just being able to reciprocate or receive and then reflect what's given back, what's being shown to you, that can go a long way.
Risha, any more thoughts on that? I was going to open up to some people in the chat, see if they wanted to come and add to the conversation. But if you've got any more thoughts, please go ahead. This is an interesting conversation to see where you guys are taking it. You get me? Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Y'all taking it somewhere. No thoughts? Well, someone's mic is doing Scooty Woof. Who is that?
Actually, one thing, because I guess it's interesting listening to what you guys are saying. But like, what if it's a situation where, like, your partner's friends and possibly family like to make the joke that your partner is punching with you? How does that affect? How do you feel that affects the relationship?
That needs to be shut down immediately. You need to let your partner know, hey, listen, those jokes, they don't run here. Please speak to your family. Let's keep those jokes on ice. Thank you.
No. I don't think you quite understand. I mean, as in, who's JL? What's going on? See, it's not even me this time. I mean, as in, for example, Kojo, let's say your girlfriend, let's say your family and your friends are saying to you, "Rah, you're punching, your girl is you're punching." How does that? What happens? How does that?
So your girl is punching. They're saying that your girl's punching.
No, you are punching. They see your girl and they say, "Raji, you're punching." It feels different, doesn't it? It feels different.
No. Listen,
If a
the main
girl
thing
says
is
that to her girl,
does she see me as a baddie? I mean, it's a baddie's the wrong word, but does she see me as the ish? Because whether people think that I'm punching or not makes no difference. Does she see? I told you the energy she gave me at the beginning. Does she see me as that fine boy? That's the
what if
question.
okay, but what if she's like, let's say you make jokes about it and it's like funny, hee ha ha, and she's like, yeah, no, of course you're not. But it's a consistent thing that you are being told, like people are bantering, like, "Rah." The first time they meet her, "Oh, you're punching them." Oh, like it's a thing, and then you start bringing it up here and there, and your girl is looking like, "Are you like? Is this an issue, or like, is this something I now have to reassure you about, or?" And I say that because I have been in that position, and it's like you don't know really, like you're saying you're reassuring them. But it becomes a thing where it's like it's always being mentioned. I'm like, is this an insecurity now? What's happening? So that's why I'm asking.
JR looks ready to answer that question and Jay does because
Like you're like, wait,
what?
no, like you don't get it, but it's flattering, but also it's a bit like, why is this?
Yeah, you don't want to be hearing that.
Yeah, why is it always? At least the person's always telling me like, yeah, these people, like, oh yeah, they keep saying that I'm punching, ha ha hee ha, and I'm like, I get it because you got to banter me, but then I'm not sure if like you're offended or is it because it's happening a lot or what's happening. So that's it.
Boys,
Happened to me
she's looking at you guys.
and I'm a bit. I don't know what this means.
She's looking at you guys. I don't know why you like shying away like you can't answer the question.
I asked you to, Pedro.
You're on mute.
Yeah, it's never happened to me, and I don't know anybody personally that's happened to. Usually, if you are dating someone who is like, if we're dating someone who is very attractive, there's usually a camaraderie that says, you know what, I rate you, or you did well, or that's a keeper, or they'll boost you up because you've done that. I don't think I've heard it the other way around where someone's like, bro, like she's too fine for you, bro.
Oh no, it wasn't in that way. It was more in your way of like, "Raw, you're punching. You did well." Like, okay, I see you, kind of thing. It was never an insult. It was more of a way of saying, "Okay," type thing. But do you know what I mean? It's still sometimes you're like, "Oh, like, do I have to?" I don't know what to say.
Just
Sorry, Jeff.
don't use the word. Don't use the word punch. Because when I hear the word punching, there's a connotation behind it. Oh, bruv, like, really? How did you get hurt? Like, how did you manage that? Like, you went above levels. You were supposed to go from level 1 to level 2. You went level 5. Like, you're really punching. I've never heard the word punching as in something to be positive. I've never heard of it ever.
I've never heard it I've never heard someone say that if they're dating a baddie or if they're dating like, I've never heard your homies, your friends, they'd never say that. No way.
I'm just going to add to this here, and because I have to say this, there's also a difference in what type of people actually say that, because in certain communities, this is how they speak, this is how they bounce. In our community, we don't really do that.
So it's interesting because I heard a couple different things. I think attraction should not be that important. I think when we're choosing a spouse, we should use more parts of our brain than just one side. You know, attraction is just the initial, I guess, feeling that a person get. I think we all can say that we know that person who said that that person wasn't attracted to him and they fell in love with their personality or they fell in love with who they was. If you get a person that's maybe average looking, that's an emotional, intelligent person, or you get an average looking person that's from a financial point of view, it's going to help you get to the place that you need to get to. I don't think that attraction is that important. And I think a lot of men get themselves in a bad situation because they lead with attraction and they don't use their whole brain.
I think that saying attraction isn't that important is one of the ways that people rationalize things that actually are important. And to me, it's not a case of whether it should be important or not. Is it important or not? And you have to be honest about whether it actually is important or not. But when you say things like it shouldn't be, then you're just in your head. Especially for women, it's not a good thing to just be in your head like that. You've got to feel it in your body. And when it comes to your forever love, your spouse, you're not just going to be Netflix and chilling with them. You're going to be sleeping with them. You're going to be eating with them. You're going to be planning, making money. You're going to be doing so many different things together. And so, yes, physical attraction, it definitely needs to be considered. That person that you're going to wake up next to every day, every night. Yeah, it's important, man. And I think it's a mistake to discount it.
So, and the reason that I say that it's not as important because what we see is physical attraction change over a relationship. If you look at someone who's been married for 40 years, that person don't look like they looked at when they was 19 or 20. So that's what I'm telling you. It's such a shallow thing. I'm not saying that you should be with somebody that is just butt ugly that nobody want. That's not my argument. But I'm just saying when you really look at a marriage over the time, when you look 40, 60 years, after a woman and had 4 or 5 kids, the idea that I'm have to be attractive and that's kind of the foundation of our marriage is very dangerous. And that's the point that I was making.
Ethan, can I ask you, would you, okay, I understand that when you're talking about initial, but would it stand to reason that obviously it is true that people's bodies is not going to be the same over time, but would it make sense for you to learn the person's physical body as they are going through that particular process? Like, you learn to find that person attractive as time goes on. Obviously, there's other things that you could be attracted to with the person. So there's a way of maybe seeing a person in a different light, obviously, as time goes on, based upon what you base your attraction on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think intelligent people find other things to be attracted. Say, for example, if your wife gained weight, you might be attracted to her intellect, or you might be attracted to other things. Her one thing that I'm attracted to is the way that my wife is a mother to the kids. That's just a turn on to me. Like how she mothers my kids is something that I really enjoy. So this idea that I have to be physically, I'm mainly talking about the physical attraction. I just, in my mind, I think it's very low level thinking in a marriage.
And here's the thing. I just want to say something quickly. Sorry, JR. Just something.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Just something quickly. I think that the couples that I have observed that have been together for like decades, right? Like 20, 30, 40 years. What I have found as a theme amongst those who have been successfully and happily married is that they have actually not just been attracted to them at the start. Their physical attraction has culminated over the years, and they're still horny for each other. They still want each other, and they still love one another. So I think that age isn't necessarily something that would shift physical attraction. Weight doesn't have to either, but I'm not going to get into weight so much. I just think it's important not to discount what we need. And if one of the things that we need is physical attraction, I don't think that we should judge it as shallow or not shallow. It just is what it is. And so it's important to tell yourself the truth and be honest. Are you feeling them or not? And you have to base your decision on your life partner on the absolute truth of how you feel right now, and then assess that as the relationship moves forward. It's so important to just be honest with yourself.
And so and I'm speaking from a man's point of view. I really can't speak from the woman's point of view. But if, say for example, if Lil Black Book was married and he came to me and said, "Hey, I got 5 kids with this woman and I'm not attracted and I'm about to break up my family," me and him about to have a real man-to-man talk. Like, are you serious that you're going to destroy your family over you not being attracted? I'm actually going to try to find ways to encourage him to find things that he do like about whatever the new her looks like or her presence. But I'm just against it. Lil Black Book could tell you that I'm for marriages staying together forever, especially when kids is involved. And I think that a lot of people make selfish decisions in those moments.
Well, I mean, I think, like, just from hearing the conversation, and I mean, I love what Charlene was saying, because it's where you start. And I think the important part is that baseline attraction needs to be there. And what I've found and heard all too often is one party saying that, oh, this person wasn't my type, and then fill in the blanks, and then it grew, and da 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 da. And then later on down the line, it's almost like one person feels like they have leverage over the other because they really weren't completely attracted to the person in the beginning. So I think that's what's important. I mean, obviously, when you're in a relationship, things do change. And I'm not saying we should just bail because something physically has changed in that particular person. So at the end of the day, I think there needs to be that base level attraction. And it's similar to what Charlene was saying. And what got my attention is, listen, you need to feel it in your body. And that's what I want. You know, when we're together, when you see me, when you think about me, when we're not together, you feel it. There's chemistry, there's a connection. I don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do anything for me, extra. I shouldn't have to pop a pill. You shouldn't have to be thinking about some next person. You should be thinking about me and wanting me. And that's the way that chemistry needs to be.
And if you ever get to a point in your relationship where that doesn't happen anymore, where you don't look at your partner anymore with that same attraction, what is wrong with having a conversation and coming together and having a discussion about what can happen, what needs to change in order for that feeling to come back? There's nothing wrong with just coming together, putting your heads and your hearts together to have that conversation.
Yeah, like I think that's why they make lingerie. That's why they make a whole bunch of other stuff to be able to put some spices in it. It's just, I don't know, man. I see it. Like, I see the wife that I married, and I seen the wife out there, 2 kids. I just feel like it is my responsibility to understand and expect that women are going to change in a relationship. I think that's an unrealistic expectation if you tell a man, oh, she going to stay the same. That same person you fell in love with at 19 is going to be the same woman at 38, 39. I think you're not telling them the truth. So when I speak with young men, I'm telling them, yes, you know who you fell in love with today. You need to find something deeper than just attraction. And you're right, 100%. You should be able to have the conversation, but I shouldn't leave if she doesn't change those things. So that's the point that I was making.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just want to say.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, you've been waiting, so go.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, the fact of the matter is both of you are going to get old, right? So yes, there has to be other things that keep you together. It can't be just, yeah, you know what? I liked you when you were 19. Now you're 48. You're a train wreck. You can't have that, right? Over time, when you get to learn the person, you get to learn a lot of things about each other. You're vulnerable with each other, and you fall in love with different elements of what that person is. And yes, even that's going to change over time. Like you said, you're going to have kids, you're going to go through trials and tribulations. You know, you're going to have wins and losses, and you know, you're going to have arguments as well, and you know, disagreements. So you know, you are going to change. But like when you look at I want to say older generation, because there's probably a higher success rate in terms of marriages that actually work, that last a long time compared to where we are these days. A lot of them, you know, they stay married because even though they may be 67, 75, whatever it is, they still have that same twinkle in their eye for each other as when they did when they first met. That's the test of time. That's the, you know, even after all the decades of being together, waking up together, having conversations, going through all the run of the mill things, sometimes it may have been monotonous, but you've had a life partner there with you that, yeah, you love a lot of things about, but there's still that romance, that attraction, that chemistry physically that's there too. Because a lot of them are randy too. As soon as the grandkids are out the house, they're trying to hide somewhere and get their little 50 pumps. So, you know, like, let's be real, it's both of you are going to change. And it's down to how you handle each other through those growing and learning processes that keeps the attraction there. Not just the physical, it's what you go through as well. Like when you're tested, and times get difficult, it can really bring out the best in you, or it can bring out the worst. And when it brings out the best, you may win more admiration and respect for each other, you know, and the fact that you're able to see it through and make it to where you need to go. So,
Can I just say that, like, I agree. I think there is. First of all, can I just say hi, Sean? Because I love Sean, and I'm so happy he's here. Second, I think it's true. You do have to. Why is JR giving me that look? No, because I see Sean on all the panels. I'm like, oh my god, Sean's on the panel. Anyways, I think it's important that you do have to have that initial attraction. Like, you do have to be kind of, you know, the physical attraction is important to a certain extent. But I agree that it's, you know, yes, there has to be more. There has to be that thing that you cling on to, that thing that stays, I guess, within their soul, that stays with you, and you're like, okay, this is the person that I'm always going to find that spark with. This aspect of the person's character is always going to be that spark, whether it is the fact that you love the way they think, or do you love their humor, or the type of music they do, the things that they enjoy, the fact that they have, you know, a kind character, all of this stuff. But I think sometimes what can happen is that, at least in my experience, I've seen a lot of women kind of go into this expecting that their husbands are going to change over time, that the way that they looked at 25 is not going to be how they look at 60. And I think women have a romanticized idea of growing old with their partner, whereas I don't think some men have that in their minds. And I think when they get married and the woman has a baby, the body changes and all this thing, it becomes this thing. And you see it on social media, and of course social media isn't the best representation of the entire world, but this idea of that when a woman's body changes, a man is like, oh, okay, and that's fair, because yeah, it's a different body that you now have to relearn, and things change. But I think there's not enough grace that's given to that aspect. You know, women's bodies are under such scrutiny all the time, and their looks and how they look, or how pretty they are, or how pretty they're not, is under scrutiny all the time. So I think sometimes that might be the nucleus of why it feels a bit more sensitive for women in a way than it might do for men. Because for a long time, men's looks weren't necessarily being scrutinized in maybe the same way they might be now. And even now, it's still not to the same extent as a woman. And I think that's why the idea of attraction and growing to be attracted to someone might feel different for men versus women. But I think in the grand scheme of things, you do want to feel like when your partner looks at you, they're like, wow. And when you look at them, that you're like, wow. And then you hope that as time goes on and you're growing older and you get into your 50s and 60s, 70s, you still look at your husband or your wife and you go, yeah, wow. But now it's like, wow, you're looking great for 70. Wow, you're looking great for 60, and so forth. However that looks. But it's putting you have to go into it with the mindset that this person is going to change. And I think that helps you have that radical acceptance of the person rather than kind of almost being quite rigid of, oh, I have to be, I don't know how to explain it. Like, of course you have to be attracted, but you also have to expect that change. And I think that prepares you to love that person every day as you start to notice the changes in them, you know?
Before you go, E-Man, Jay, you were gonna go earlier on, and you the connection off. Go for it.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that the original conversation was based around dating. So with the video result, it was the beginning stage.
Oh, your mic is doing. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Try again.
How's it now?
No. Nice. You sound like you're in the Matrix, family.
I'm gonna come out again, so someone else.
No worries, bro.
It's not me this time. That's what I'm saying.
Well, before Jay comes back in and out, I just want to thank Precious for that, very inviting, welcoming, entrance into the UK panel. I really, this makes me, feel almost butterflies. So thank
Sean! No, it's because I see Sean on the panels for like Married at First Sight. I'm like, oh, I love Sean. He's great. And so now it's great to have Sean on the panel. That's all.
It's great to be well received, and I think, it just touches on, a little bit of the energy that we're talking about here. Is like that's how I want to feel when I walk in the room, right?
Yes.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that from a man. I know we kind of get a little, we get a little prodded about like, oh, well, we want to be looked at for our looks, not necessarily, but we just want to be appreciated, right? And we want to know that whatever it is about us, that you like that about us, and you don't feel like you're settling, or you don't feel like, oh, well, because I'm X, then I need to behave in a certain way because you are completely beautiful and I'm, whatever I may be, so that's it. It's that energy. And I'm 100%, I totally understand. And, obviously I was married, and I think that during the time, people change, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. But I think, again, that baseline attraction has to be there in the beginning, because that sets the tone for you to be able to appreciate that person throughout the duration, right? Because it's not just the mental, but the physical, the things that get your body sparked, the things that keep that engine going, starts with the physical part of your brain. And acknowledging that you do and want that person are super important. I think, we just can't ignore it. We just can't push it to the side or feel guilty because we want that to be there. Now it's not everything, because looks fade, your body does change, all of us. And, we acknowledge that women bear a bigger weight to that, because in relationships and in situations, you guys are the ones that are having children and dealing with what it takes to, to do all of that. And that does come with the toll and does come with the change. And you have to appreciate your woman at every stage, right? And every curve. And I'm not somebody that's unrealistic either. Like, oh, you got to be this, and this. But I do expect that I'm not going to date anybody. I'm not going to be in a relationship with somebody that I'm not attracted to physically. And I don't want to feel like I'm settling, and I don't want that person to feel like they're settling either.
Well, let me ask y'all guys this question. Do you believe the more time that you spend with someone, that attractions grows?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
So when we was talking about dating, I was saying don't rule out that you're not attracted to them at the beginning, right? I'm not saying that you should be marrying someone that you're not attracted to. That I hope that's not what y'all guys was getting. But
No.
I have seen like people that get together where they lives matched, very like everything outside of attraction matched, and what they did is they spent time over the next year with each other, and what they did is naturally start getting attracted to that person personality, getting attracted to it. Matter of fact, they believe it or not, they both start going to the gym together. They start doing certain things that they created a level of attraction. So I know that this is against everything that is said over here, but I think you can create an attraction even though it's not there initially.
Oh no, we agree on that. We agree on that. I was just I think my disagreement was in you saying that wanting to be attracted to somebody was shallow. That was my main point, really.
Yeah, and I think what really happened was I was looking at this situation from a marriage point of view because I always think marriage first. But when I start understanding that you was really talking about dating and actually coming from that perspective, yes, you shouldn't be, forcing a marriage. I don't tell nobody to force to be with somebody that you don't want to be with. That's not what I'm saying. But within the marriage, after the honeymoon phase wears off, after the attractions go away, saying what's next? And I think a lot of people don't have solutions for that because they think it's going to be that same 25-year-old that they married 10 years from now. And every 4 years, people typically change.
I hear you. I do.
Go for it, Jay. Try again. Let's see if you got your mic.
Do you know what? Everyone's. By the way, am I better now? Yeah.
It sounds like it. Go for it. It's tenuous. It's on the edge.
Yeah,
But go for
it's on the edge. It's on the edge.
I can see. Should I
Go for
continue?
it. Yeah, continue to see. I'll mute everybody, but go for it.
Everyone's kind of said what I was going to say because it was based off the initial dating stages, and you probably missed it in the beginning, Edaman, but we all said that in the beginning in agreement with what you're saying now. Not just the marriage part, because that's separate. We all understand that. But also in the beginning, it is possible for people to gain attraction over time. I think we all know personally people who have had that experience. What we were saying is for ourselves, for myself, I can't do that. And I've tried and tested that before. For myself, I can't do that. And I don't want to put a woman through that because of the issues that do come with that in terms of how she feels about her man seeing her, feeling her. I don't want her to feel like I find her unattractive. That's why I've had to understand myself and know that, okay, I can't do that. How I thrive is seeing you and knowing, oh, you are just beautiful. You are just something else. I want to rip your clothes off. I want to just you're just beautiful to me. And because like where's he going? Because like Sean was saying, that initial foundation is there. So even as we get married, pregnancies and all those changes, because we all change in general, that foundation is still going to be there. Now I do understand there are married couples that we can read it. It does happen where I don't find you attractive anymore, etc. I think you need to go to the gym, etc. No matter how you want to disguise it, it does happen. But all I can say is that for myself, that initial foundation, even if anything, based on who I'm with now, is always going to be there. I'm still going to love her and find her attractive through everything. But we also need to not get away from our natural human instincts and understanding. Most of us just love, I'm not going to say gym bodies, but bodies that we naturally find as more attractive. So for example, if my missus was to break up with me today and she was to, let's just say there was a Jason who goes to the gym, which is what I do now, and a Jason who doesn't, who eats, I don't know, McDonald's every day, etc. She's not going to say, I want the McDonald's Jason over the gym Jason. She's going to say, I want the gym Jason, because naturally she's going to go for what she's more attracted to. And I feel like as human beings, there are just natural things. How important that is over time, of course, lessens, because you get to know the person for who they are and you see other things and you spend time together. I think it's very immature to break up a marriage over because someone has gained weight. I think that's ridiculous, but that's a different conversation. But ultimately, if he was to break up, that person has a choice of what is physically attractive to them, and they're going, if they have the same everything on the table, they're gonna go for the person who looks more physically attractive naturally, unless they have an issue with, like we were saying earlier, I think maybe before you joined, if I go for a person who's more attractive, maybe it's going to come with more problems. And I feel like that's natural for all of us. I mean, when we look after our bodies, look after our shape, naturally people are going to look at you differently. That's just how human beings are. But you shouldn't use that to jeopardize your marriage.
So what I heard you say was that you're looking at it at two different ways. You looked at marriage and you looked at dating, right? All right. So say, for example, if you had a daughter, for the guys on the panel, right? And you found a young man that had all of the attributes that you felt that a man should have to be married to your daughter, but he wasn't as attractive as maybe someone else. Would you encourage your daughter to be in that relationship
No.
if it's best for her? You say no?
No, I wouldn't. Let me put it this way. I wouldn't do something she didn't I wouldn't encourage her to do something that she genuinely didn't want to do. Because as I said, being with someone who you're actually not okay, to give context, if I don't find you attractive today, I'm not gonna find you attractive tomorrow. So if I know my daughter is like that, I'm not gonna encourage her to do that. So I don't want her in that type of relationship. So based on how I feel about that, I will say to her, this guy's nice, this guy's A, B, C, D, E. But I will not tell her, I will not put her in a position where she has to do something she really doesn't want to do. And I'm not even coming from a superficial point of view, etc. I'm just saying she generally does not find them attractive. I don't want her to be in a marriage like that, because I don't want her being in a marriage where the guy doesn't find her attractive. To me, that would be horrible. I wouldn't want to put my daughter through that. So why would I want her to do the reverse?
But was that the scenario that you put forward, though, either man? I
No,
didn't hear you say
no,
that.
Go on.
Go ahead.
no. What I was saying, not that he was not attracted to your daughter. He had all of the qualities that you see in a man of his age, and the guy that was not that attractive. So that means that your daughter might not have been that attracted to him, not the vice versa.
Yeah, and that's what I said in the beginning. What I said in the end was, if in the reverse, I can't imagine my daughter being with a guy who's not attracted to her. But in the beginning, I said I wouldn't tell my daughter to go and do the same thing. If she
Well,
genuinely is not attracted.
I think as a father, because I have daughters, it's my responsibility to think logical and to be able to think, 10 steps ahead of where my daughter is today. Right. So yeah, it's just I think different, and I do believe that I'm gonna be heavily involved with the picking of my daughter's husband. We already had this conversation, right? So like this idea that if I find someone that's a better suit and attraction is not the highest, I'm going to go with the better suit, because it's something mentally that you got to be able to check. And I think it all depends. Of course, if you find an attractive guy who got all those qualities, we're having a whole different conversation. But out of the guys that she have to choose from, if we found someone that was not as attractive, I think that we need to at least entertain that conversation. But I don't know if Jay's mindset is that he wants to be involved with his daughters picking a spouse. That might be the difference for where we're at.
Well, I'm already involved, because these are the things I teach. My daughter's 15 now, right? My oldest daughter. And these are the things I teach her now because of the way that I am. So in answering your question in context, I wouldn't say to her, choose the better looking man over the man who's actually going to look after you. I wouldn't do that. Just in the context of, she might have a guy who's great looking, might have a guy that's not so great looking. I wouldn't put her in a position where she feels that her father is trying to force her to be with a guy that she doesn't really see as great looking in general. Simply because, for me personally, I'm not gonna find you better looking just because
Well,
you're in my life. That's not gonna
I
happen.
think I think force and encourage is two different words. I'm not forcing my daughter to do anything because she's her own person to make her own thing. But I am going to encourage what I believe is best for her. She's looking to me as for wisdom and she's looking for me for guidance. And if she trusts me enough to come to me, I should be able to be open to tell her my opinion is that the overall person is better for her than the person just from an attraction point of view.
I think everyone on the panel would agree with you that from an encouragement point of view, we would give the most wise decision. But the reason why this comes into context is because of what we've seen. Like in the beginning, I gave the scenario, it's in the reverse, but I gave the scenario of where the man can't even walk with his wife because he doesn't find her attractive. This is why for me, it's like, okay, I wouldn't want to put my daughter in a position where she can't even be who she wants to be or who she can be to a man because there was no initial attraction and it's not going to come. I don't want to put her in that position or I would encourage her to make a wise decision, but I'm not going to be upset if she didn't. If she 100% feels she cannot see this man as attractive and she needs to feel this man, you know, I, I've had women that would say to me to say this literal same thing where they did not find the man attractive. Every time he touched her, it felt horrible, but they couldn't turn the man down because that's her husband, and ended up divorcing. So that's why the context that I come from, yeah, let's take forcing out the equation. But from the encouragement, that's all I can do. That's all I can do. Everyone here would encourage that through wisdom. But understanding things in context of today's generation, I know that it's not just as looking at the character context, it's not just as simple because people think differently in this day and age. Even if it's not superficial, people's feelings are different in this day and age, and they need to feel that something in order to be 100% of who they're going to be in the marriage.
So it sounds like what you're saying. So, because I believe men and women look at attraction different. Can we at least agree that women look at attraction different from how men look at attraction? Like you can see an ugly rich dude with a beautiful woman, like that. That's
Yeah.
something that we all can agree that we can see. So you're saying that you would tell your daughter to kind of follow her feelings and her attraction when making that lifelong decision?
No, I would give her the wisdom that I give her now based on provision, based on understanding, based on taking care of her heart. That's what I would do. If
I'm
she
saying
makes
so.
the choice to be with someone who isn't the best looking, like we talked about this earlier in terms of a man having a big belly, but you can provide, etc. If she makes that decision, I'm okay with that because I know why she's made that decision. And to be honest with you, she's okay making that decision. But what I don't want, but the position I don't want her to be in is where she definitely 100% does not find the man attractive. If anything, she might be repulsed. If anything, she just can't feel that man actually touching her, but she feels okay, but my dad may want me to marry this man because of what he able to provide. And I'm talking about from this generation's perspective because this conversation that we're having is a very traditional mindset, or a very, we can say, Christian mindset, where people encourage because of character just get together. What we're seeing now in our generation, that's very dangerous because we think differently, we feel differently, we need more of that attraction, and we need to work on that attraction because things do change, but that foundation needs to continue. This is why I have the perspective that I have, because if she's going to be in a position where she is repulsed by the man, where she feels forced to even sleep with him, I wouldn't feel good as a father if I encouraged her to be in that type of situation. Obviously it's different if she's in it and the attraction grows. That's a win-win situation. That's what I want for her, but I have to be understanding of what actually is happening in today's society, and seeing so many people get with men or women who that initial attraction isn't there, and it continues to cause a problem in today's society. And that's just based off this generation, not the type of generation that we come from. And yeah, that's just how I see
So,
it.
so, so I guess the question would be more for the ladies. Do you believe that it's a level of immaturity in this generation that people can't look past looks?
No, I don't.
So you think that this is what's going on in the world in this generation is, I guess we would call it normal and how things should be running?
Well, let me say this. I should rephrase that because I can't speak for this generation. I can't really speak for anybody. But what I can say is that, and it's the only point that I've been making from the beginning, really, which is that I think it's a mistake to have a judgment value when looks or physical attraction is something that is important to you. I think that it's a mistake to say it's wrong or bad to consider physical attraction to be important, and to then say it's immature or childish, I think is a mistake. I think it's also a mistake to pass up a great guy because he's not exactly your type. And let me just say this: I've never actually dated my type before. I've dated men who had something about them, and then I fell in love with them, and they looked better and better and better to me. So as far as dating my type, I've never been somebody that was really strict about that. But it is important to have something about them. It's so important. And I don't think that that should be put into the realms of that's childish or that's immature, because it's important.
Well, the reason I say that, so I believe that the reason I say words like childish, for example, if a person have 80% of what you looking for, and you say I'm not getting them because of the 20%, I just think that sometimes you need a wake up call. I think that's the reason. Like, because I hear this word settle a lot. If somebody have majority of what you want and they don't have the rest, I don't think that you're settling. I think that they're human, because it's no Superman on earth. There's no perfect person on earth. So this idea that I'm gonna find someone that have 100% of everything that I'm looking for, I believe it's a Disney movie.
Can I just say that I feel like I understand what you're saying. I think I used to think along those lines before, and I think to a certain extent I still do. But I don't want it to be a situation where we're going and swinging the pendulum to extremes. I think the reality is that there are going to be you're going to, over the course of your life, meet a lot of people, and you're going to find some of those people attractive. You're going to find some of those people more attractive. But I think the idea is that there has to be something there that makes you physically want to be close to this person and connected to the person, because in relationships, sex is incredibly important, and I don't think that should be understated. That's an important part of relationship. An important part of sex is physical attraction. Like how Charlene said, it's similar to what Charlene said. The person doesn't necessarily have to fit your type to 100% T for you to feel attracted to that person. If your type is, I don't know, what's his name? What's that person? What's that name? That guy, he's bald and he's married to Nicole Parker. What's his name?
Boris Kodjoe.
There we go. Him. He is, conventionally an incredibly attractive person, right? The person that you're with doesn't have to look like him for you to find him attractive. And I think the idea is that you just have that initial attraction, because you might also find initial attraction to somebody who isn't your type. Usually I've been in that situation where I'm like, you're not my usual type, but actually I'm attracted to you, and it can happen. It's just about having that attraction that is there. It's not in the absence of it, of course. And I think kind of what I was saying earlier, it's not the be all and end all, because there are other things that are important, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be taken into consideration. I guess if we're going with the idea that this person has the 80%, I think what's more important is that you are self-aware enough to know whether or not the attraction is enough for you to continue on pursuing this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is important. And I think if you're self-aware enough to know, I don't know if I can find myself growing in attraction with this person, I don't think that's inherently childish. I think that's very, at least you can be honest and self-aware about it. But of course, there also has to be a temperament of understanding that this perfect person in your mind is never going to exist. So as long as you understand that, I think there will be some temperament in going, okay, if you meet somebody, they don't fit into this perfect box of attraction. If you understand inherently that no one's ever going to fit into this perfect box of attraction, I think by default, you are going to be able to find someone that you find attractive. I think we all come across people we find attractive, like most of the time. So I don't think it's hard for someone to find someone else attractive who's also got the characteristics that they want as well. I don't know. I think in my experience, I don't find a lot of people struggle with that part. I find what people struggle with is the ups and downs of an actual relationship, rather than, oh, this person's perfect, but I don't find them attractive. That, at least in my experience, I find that a very rare thing. I think most people, especially now with online dating, that element is kind of locked off anyway, because you won't even match the person you don't find attractive. So the chances of you even meeting that person decreases now if you're at least online on apps matching for people. So I think maybe that's why the generational changes happen, because now, maybe in previous generations where you didn't have dating apps, you would just meet people in the street and whoever was there was there. But now, you've got that kind of initial screening of, do I find you physically attractive? Yes, match. So now you've got that foundation already set anyway, So that's why I don't know. I think maybe I'm thinking about it. How realistic is it for you to meet somebody who has everything, but you're so unattracted to this person that you're like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if that's something that a lot of people experience nowadays, and maybe I'm just being naive. I don't know.
I think ET, what you're talking about, I think what you're doing right now is just the culture, what it is in terms of maybe the access, in terms of people seeing, it's like digitization of people nowadays, hypersexualization. You're only focusing so much on the physical attraction of people, right? I think, however, though, when you say it's not as important in terms of the initial stages of just seeing somebody, first, we do say first impressions do count, or presentation counts when you're meeting somebody. So if there isn't like a foundation where there is something about this person, and I do agree, if you're not gonna have that 100% person, no person is perfect, but there has to be something that makes you think, there's something about this person I want to get to know. There's something about this person that makes me think, maybe I could potentially see something. But if there's nothing there to begin with, because sometimes people, men and women, do mental gymnastics to try and justify why I should try to stay with someone that I'm not initially attracted to, even if they do have quote unquote qualities, but they are not the qualities that I myself am looking for, if that makes sense, men or women alike. So when you say not as important, well, if physical attraction was never really a thing, if human beings didn't have eyes, right, then maybe we could say, okay, but because we have eyes and we are visual creatures and we like what we see, obviously we shouldn't only focus on the physical attraction. There are other components. There has to be a balance to it. There has to be a holistic assessment in terms of picking people, right? There has to be a balance that you can appreciate and acknowledge a person's physical features and also look at the characters that make this person more attractive in your eyes as well. That's what we're more or less saying. But there has to be something you got to start off with, and that parameter or that principle of what you base your attraction on, that one is different for everybody. It's a case by case situation.
Hey everybody. I'm just hearing everything is like theory, romanticized. Everything is, in my mind, speculation. So, just background, I am on my second marriage. I was married the first time for 13 years. This time we're almost to 7 years. So some days, you know, we all have ups and down days. We all do. We don't wake up every morning feeling like today is going to be the best day of our life. So just like that, the relationship, the marriage, or even in dating is going to be ups and downs. Today, the person may look real good, and tomorrow something about them may be rubbing you wrong. So my whole thing with this is, yes, they could be attractive at first, but sometimes the highest heat fizzles out real fast. And sometimes there is very little kindling, but the fire can burn bright. So my thing is with each person, and for me, and I heard what Jeff had said earlier, for me it was, I guess we need a good healthy dose of self-esteem too, because, and I don't know if it may be my disassociative way, that if someone says something about me they don't like, I take it in stride. Okay, you don't like that about me, but guess what? That I see that as a higher quality. Or if when I dated, you don't find me attractive, that's fine. I'm not your cup of tea, but guess what? Somebody will want to take a big gulp. I'm just not yours. So my whole thing is, if I'm strong in me and I know who I am, then I can move forward in my marriage, in my relationships, and so forth. So for me, attraction, yes, it can be there initially. Or in my case, when I dated, I'm trying to figure out, why has this person been brought into my realm? Maybe they're here to teach me something about myself or about the world I'm in. So dating for me is information. Dating for me at the time was, let me learn something that I can package and take to the next relationship or the next hit and run. Doesn't matter what it is, but I'm going to learn something. So for me, I'm hearing like Eva Man Williams said, it's a lot of romanticized things, and I like to bring things to the ground level. And on the ground, each day is going to be different. My attraction level could be different, but I have to have the foundation of, my husband, I love this man. I may be mad at him today. He may be my sun, moon, and stars tomorrow. But my foundation is, I love this man. He may put on a hat I find unattractive, but guess what? That hat can be taken off. But for me, it's like, we need to keep stuff on the ground level, and I'm hearing a lot of hypothesis, but I love to hear people's experiences, and I love to hear how people have overcome or what people have learned from an experience.
Is it just me, or I'm finding it really difficult to see where we disagree? Like, seriously, I'm finding it difficult to see. It feels like you guys feel like there's a disagreement somewhere, but all I'm hearing is different aspects of the same opinion. Is it me?
No, I think
it's good.
we're talking about what we're referring to. Understanding the context of who's speaking is about marriage. The original question had nothing to do with marriage, which is where we all agree the context that comes with that. And I've also been married. I'm divorced now, but I've also been married. So and we also had a child in that marriage. So I fully understand the context of what changes and You know, even my pastor will say there's going to be times where you may look at each other and think, oh my gosh, what's going on? That's because of what may happen in the marriage. And we agree with what happens. We all know, you know, or understand or heard of what happens. But the initial conversation was about the initial stage. Before all the things that we find out in marriage or in relationship, we don't know most of those things because we haven't got there yet. What the initial conversation was about, before you know all of those things, do you want to move forward or not if you do not find this person actually attractive? That was the actual question. Whereas what we're talking about now, we actually all agree with. We actually don't disagree. We actually do agree with, okay, now you've moved to the next level. It needs a different way of thinking. You need to be a lot more mature about certain things, about the conversations that you have, about perspectives, about attractiveness. That's just how it is. You have to maintain. You know, unfortunately, you do have people out there who will look at, okay, you've changed. I want to go for someone younger. That's unfortunate. It does happen, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're actually addressing is, in those initial stages, what do you do if you do not find that person attractive, which stem from a conversation we was having behind the scenes?
So I think it's called the show. What's the show called? I think it's called Love is Blind. Is when they have the conversation before they do that. I think that's excellent. And the reason I think it's excellent is because you get to know someone a lot deeper than what you see. Because I think what you see, the attraction can blind you. It's so many. I see people that's in relationship. It's so many red flags out there, and they can't see the red flags because they're so attracted to the person that's in front of them. So when you just start going deeper, and I'm not discounting if attraction is a big thing for you, that you shouldn't make sure you're attracted to the person. That's not what I'm doing. But when you go deeper and you really get to know that person, I think attraction have nothing to do with if that's the person for you or not in the dating stage.
Yeah, I think what is confusing here, because I think there's three different conversations happening, I think. Because I think I think some people are saying if there isn't attraction at all, we're not even getting to the stage of getting to know each other, is what I think some people are saying. Then there's the idea of how much attraction do you need to move forward? This person might not be like the 10 out of 10, but how much attraction do you need as a prerequisite to continue to move forward, to get to know this person? That's another thing. And then, because I guess for me, the idea is if you're already in a situation where you're trying to get to know this person, then that means there's already been a decision by you on the fact of this person I find this person attractive, I want to get to know them more, which is what I think Jeff was saying, of there's something about this person that makes me want to get to know them more. So there is an element there of attraction, whether it's, you know, it might be physical / emotional. But I think for some people, there is a prerequisite of, do I want to continue getting to know you more? Yes, because I do feel an element of attraction. So let's get to that point. Now this attraction will then become bigger and stronger as we continue to go on.
So I think it's a difference of saying that I am not attracted to you and I'm unattracted to you. Like, so unattractive and not, and I know that sounds the same. I don't think it's the same. So me not being attracted. So I think it's a neutral place where I'm not attracted to you now, or I'm not attracted to you. That kind of makes sense? Or does that sound crazy?
I get what you're saying, but I guess I'm thinking about how it actually works in practicality. But then, no, I get what you mean. Yeah. So like, it's the thing of, it could go either way. If I get to know you more, I could probably lean more towards I'm attracted to you. If I get to know you more and I don't like what I'm seeing, I can lean more to I'm not attracted to you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and that's the point I'm saying. It's a neutral place. It's not just the positive side and the negative. I can go in a situation neutral, like, I'm open. And I can either go sway, yes, I like this personality. I like everything about this person, because I've seen people that the person's in shape, they're good looking, and they just say they're not attracted to them. It's not that that they're not an attractive person. That's not the point that I'm trying. I'm not saying that you should get with somebody ugly. That's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is you can go into a situation that you're just not attracted to that person that need to grow. And I think it's just a difference, in my opinion.
Go for it, Sean. You were going to say? Sorry, Sean was going to go first. Sorry, apologies.
Oh, no worries. I think that one of the things that kind of started this conversation, and Jay, you mentioned it, right, is the idea that there is an element of settling on attraction, or not, one person not making it as important as the other. And I think that's why you have some of us on the side of saying, like, no, there needs to be some baseline level of attraction if you're going to be in a relationship or you're going to date somebody. And I think Kojo showed a little bit of a video by another content creator who has, kind of played on this medium ugly term and said that women shouldn't be, automatically going for men that are attractive, and they should shoot for men that are less attractive, right? And then shoot for men that, perhaps have money or have other things that they can offer of value, versus women focusing on being attracted to a man, right? So it kind of just sparks this whole debate of, is attraction important for women? What men find value in attractiveness in women, and things like that. So, for anybody kind of like coming in towards the middle or the tail end of it, I think that's the conversation that we're kind of all having, is like, hey, listen, no, some of us are pushing back against that idea of, yeah, you can just enter in a situation where you're not really attracted to the person. No, you should have a level of attractiveness to the person. Right now, where that falls depends on the person. Everybody is different. Different people find different things attractive. And I'm not going to tell you what you should feel attractive or not. I'm just saying my opinion is you should be attracted to me. Right.
So, but Sean, let me ask you.
Hold on. Hey, before we go, E, sorry. Just want to open it. Jeff, go for it, because I want a few people to talk. Sorry. I thought you were going to say something, Jeff. You didn't have something to say? Fantastic. Charlene, you were going to say something then.
I was, but I want to hear this. I'm waiting with bated breath. I want to hear what either man wants to say. Back to Sean.
So my question, not just to Sean, maybe to the whole panel, is, do money make you more attractive? Is the more money a person have, do that contribute to their swagger, how they dress, their haircut? Do you believe that money make a person more attractive?
I will just say no, because I hear this a lot. And I think it is an individual thing, because I think for some women, money 100% makes somebody more attractive. But I'm sorry, let's be real. Jeff Bezos is not attractive. Call a spade, at least to me. He has what, 100 billion, whatever. Okay, cool. He still looks like Lex Luthor on steroids to me. What I'm saying is that some people are just not going to be attractive to you, regardless of how much money they've got. Jeff Bezos is about to come find me any day. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. But no, my point is, there are some. So, for example, celebrities are a perfect example, right? Specifically actors. Because, like, you can have an actor who is attractive. For example, The Rock. The Rock was always going to be attractive. No matter how much money he has, he was always going to be attractive. Someone like a Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, always going to be attractive. Somebody like a Morris Chestnut, always going to be attractive. The money doesn't make them more attractive. They're conventionally good-looking men. So the money or the fame doesn't make them attractive. Now, you can say that the success in their career, the fact they're really good at something, the fact that they've been able to make a really successful career and be good at this, and they have money, makes them more attractive. But I don't think being famous takes somebody who you don't find attractive at all, or at least it shouldn't anyway. I'm just speaking for me, I can't speak for everyone. Doesn't make them more attractive. There are some people who are rich, who I see, and I'm like, money or not money, it's not for me. And so that's why for me anyway, on my behalf, I would say no.
Max,
I want
you want to
others
answer
to answer. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
got a response to that, but I want to hear others before I respond to that.
There's a question for the ladies.
No, I think
Does the
for
money make a
me,
man more? Go for it, Sean.
I think for me, if I find a man unattractive and he's got money, and then I consider it in terms of consider dating him, I would consider that to still be a form of settling. I think that's the short answer to that. Because there's something within, because remember, this is not, and I've spoken about this before, this is not just about intellect and making logical choices based upon what looks good on paper. This is about what does he feel like in my body, and the money is not going to influence the message that my body receives that this isn't a good idea. And that would still be a form of settling to me. And like Precious said, I can't speak on anyone else's behalf because there are plenty of millionaires and billionaires who are not good looking, honey, and they are bagging the baddies. I'm just talking about myself in regards to one of my core values of being in integrity with myself. For goodness sake, I have to be in integrity. And I know that if I was to get with a guy that I don't find attractive and start saying, maybe I see the zeros in his bank account, that is a form of settling. And that's just the end of that.
And that's what causes the women to go after the money so viciously during the divorce, because they do not like those men. They do not like those men.
No, the reason they go after the money because they have a good lawyer. But L.
Okay, I have an unpopular opinion. I'm not going to settle for struggle. So you do not need to be, a millionaire, but you still have to be able to at least carry your weight or some weight. So it doesn't need to be obscene money, but I'm sorry if, when I dated, I wouldn't date anyone that was unemployed. Sorry, not happening, So does the money matter? Yes, it does. But to what extent depends on the person.
So, well, let me respond to that because I think
wait. Before you respond, there's still one more lady. We have Max. We respond.
Hey, Max.
Hey guys. So I think the question was, will money make a man more attractive to me?
Tell the truth.
So I will tell the truth, and the devil will be put to shame. So I'm with, I'm with Precious and Charlene on that baseline thought of like, if we're talking about really rich guys, I don't think for me personally that's going to shift anything. But if you mean in general, like because you could take it from the perspective of, if your man is broke, he can't afford to groom himself, he can't afford to get shape ups, he can't afford to wear 3-piece suits, he can't afford to present himself in the best light, he can't afford a gym membership, he has to walk for exercise. That's different. That is different, because he will look different than the guy who can afford those things, that just allows himself to present himself in the best light. So if that's the angle you're talking about, I think that can change how attractive someone is to you. It's not going to change the deep levels of attraction in terms of to who they are. But yeah, physical attraction, yeah, if he can't afford to groom himself, that's going to impact things.
Well, so I'm glad you said that because that was the angle that I was talking about. I think money makes a huge difference in whether a person's attractive or not. At something as simple as a haircut. Taking a man without a haircut and taking a man with a haircut, that money made a difference. And on top of that, if the men are being honest, we know what $100 weave look like, and we know what an $800 weave look like. And you can take the same woman and you can give her an $800 weave versus a $100 weave. She looked totally different, not even close to being the same. Like we know. So this idea that money doesn't have influence on attraction, I think it's just a very bad argument. Even the difference between someone doing their own makeup and then what we see with the celebrities, a lot of celebrities is not as attractive as we think they are. Their makeup, having makeup artists that they spend $400 or $500 on getting they face actually put together is something that makes us more attracted to people. So I think that people who have more money are a lot more attractive. If I was to give Little Black Book $1 million versus giving him $10, he's going to look better to y'all. He's going to be able to have nicer clothes. He's going to have nicer haircuts. Especially if he spend the money. I'm not talking about the guy who just said, I'm going to put the money in the bank account like Warren Buffett and I ain't going to do nothing. No, but if he go out and get that 3-piece suit, if he go out and get that tailor suit, if you see a man that's in a tailor suit versus in the K&G suit, he look different. Like more people are attracted to him. So I think if a person is spending that money correctly, it definitely sway, especially women, to be more attracted to him. But that's just my opinion.
But let me just say this, though, because it's important to go back to the question that you asked. And the question that you asked was, if you're not attracted to the man and he has a lot of money, would that change things? And the answer to that is no, because the context that I was thinking about was this guy that I'm just like, it's never going to happen between us. There is nothing about him that I find attractive. I'm thinking along the lines of, there's just absolutely no way that I would ever be attracted to this guy. And there is nothing about that in my mind. When I think of that type of guy, giving him a fresh fade and putting him in a 3-piece suit, that wouldn't change things for me. That's just me. Now, take that guy, and there's something about him. I'm not all the way attracted to him, but there's something about him. And now put him in a 3-piece suit with a fresh fade. And it's not even about the digits in his bank account, but his abilities to create money, his business acumen. Okay, now we're talking. But that's not the question that you asked. So I just want to be very clear about the questions that we're answering, because that's important.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, it's a guy on YouTube. I forgot his name, but what he do is he's a barber. And what he do is he take the homeless person, he pushed him out into the community and see how people treat him on how he look. And then he changes their clothes. He do everything. He cut their hair, washes them, do them a full different makeover, right? And be able to spend money on him. So he do it. And how women react to him on those homeless people is a totally different thing just because of the influence of the money. So I kind of get what you're saying. You're saying that it's some people out there that they're so far gone that there's nothing they can do for me to be attracted to them. I get that. But when we're talking about
it's not so much that they're so far gone. It's just that in the mind of me, there is nothing I'm thinking about Bill Gates. He's not homeless by any means. But I'm telling you now that there is not a thing about that man. God bless his heart. I mean, no disrespect. We love you, Bill Gates. Keep doing your billionaire thing. We love to see it. But there's nothing about that man that overlaps in the realm of the attractiveness in my mind. And so his money, if he was trying to hit on me, and say, Shah, I'm feeling you, there is nothing in me that would be like, well, he's got some money. And that would be a lack of integrity and settling for me. That's
No,
that's
and I'm agreeing. No, listen, I'm agreeing that there's some people that's just so far out because she made that example earlier that these people, it doesn't matter what they do. I'm not attracted to these type of men, right? But I believe that it's a group of men that you're not attracted to that might be your type, but the little things as haircut, personalities or little things, and money influence personality too. When people call wealthy people cocky or they call them arrogance, it's not because they was broke. Like it influenced like this ability of having, like, we know that people with money typically have a different type of mindset than people without money. So I'm telling you, it is a whole layer of things that changes when you just add money into the equation.
Can I just ask for some clarification, because I think the question is changing, because the original questions, at least to me, correct me if I'm wrong, sounded as though you were saying this person already has money, is already utilizing their money, and looks how they looks. So now you have to now decide whether this person is attractive, not as in this person looks like this, they've now been given money, they changed themselves, they look like this. But I
I'm
think, like, yeah,
so
so
what I got what you're saying. So what I'm saying is, if I take someone that most women might say is not attractive, and I get y'all personal opinion, I can't argue that, right? But if I take a man that y'all say most of the people say is not attractive, most women says not attractive, and we give him money, I believe majority of women would change their perspective of him. I think money have a big influence on how women make decisions in today's economy.
Jay, go for it. You want to add? Go for it.
Well, on this point, I'll agree with Eda, man. I think for most guys, I mean, there's a rapper in the UK who's one of his famous lines was "Money makes you handsome," and I think most guys will tell you based on their own personal experience or what they've seen growing up that money. Again, we're not talking about levels of money because you don't have to be a millionaire, but money changes the game for you. It ups your levels, but it also gives you a certain level of confidence that ladies
Yep.
notice. One of the things that was mentioned is the way that you dress. I was having a group conversation with someone the other week, and they said to me, basically, I dress like I've got money and therefore A, B, C, D, E. And I thought, okay, what do you mean by that? And she explained that as ladies, there are many things that they're paying attention to. We can say it from the point of provision. I agree. If you're able to dress a certain way, if you're able to look a certain way, that may mean that obviously you can afford it. You look good. That's like when ladies, when they have the ability to pay for, as you're saying, either man, $800 weave. I mean, in the UK, that'll probably be about £150, to be fair. So the economy is quite different. It can give you a different look, which is why ladies are willing to pay a certain expense. However, we also have the millionaire who dresses like rubbish, who dresses like trash. So then the question would be, are those men attractive? And the truth is, there are plenty of ladies out there, despite all of those things, that will still, throw themselves at the type of man simply because of money. When I was at a party a couple of years ago, all of us were just talking just generally to one particular woman, and she said her love language was money, and she only wanted to date Arab men because they just threw money at you. And she was insulting black men, she was insulting different types of men. She says you can't talk to her unless you're willing to put £2,000 in a bank account every single week. So we have to discuss these things in context. It's always based on individual preference, and the ladies here say, "Not me. That's not how I roll." But this conversation stems from what most men see and what most men experience, and that the game changes. When you have some level of money, someone who didn't find you attractive before, all of a sudden now wants to say, "Hey, big head." And it's one of those things that happen. So every man knows not to fall for the money don't matter. Every man knows I need to work on what I need to work on. Where I am, let's see what lady is feeling me, what lady is going to accept me where I am. But ultimately, I can't take my foot off the gas. I have to you know, continue in my career, continue in whatever I'm doing, to, you know, earn as much as I can, because it will make me more desirable, and also I'll be able to look after my family. So that's just how most guys feel. You know, some guys really let it get to their heads, unfortunately, but in general, it's irresponsible for a man to settle on. It doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
I think you know, um, the luxury that certain men have, which is there's a very few small minority. There's a luxury of men who, no matter whether they're broke or rich, they're fine. No homo. They're just good looking brothers. That's the honest truth. Whether he was broke or whether he was rich, he would still collect. In fact, if he was broke, somebody rich would come and collect him. You understand? It's the same thing with women too. Like there's some women who are so beautiful that whether they're poor, they become rich because someone saw them. Do you know what I mean? Like their beauty becomes their currency. Do you get what I'm saying? Now the rest of us who are in the average brackets, you need to work. You're in the average bracket. You need to add things to your artillery that are going to make you stand out. You don't have that luxury, right? So that's where, as men, we put effort into these things. And the reality of the situation is, I was watching a video and it said, the guy was like, that he was saying about he doesn't listen to what women say. He listens to what women respond to. Because the reality of the situation is, no matter how much women will say, what are you responding to? Right now, I believe the women on the panel have said exactly what they meant, and I believe they're absolutely true. I think in the case of when you know someone already, yes, when he becomes rich, you don't give a heck because you already knew him. Familiarity breeds contempt. But when you don't know who he was before and he approaches you, it's slightly different. So if you didn't know that person's position to where they are now, you only see them in the current stock and how they are now. And I'm not saying that, and I don't mean that even in a gold digging way. It's more of a case of, is it the money that makes him confident, or, you know, is it the money that makes him confident, or is he just gaining confidence? I think the reality is money influences your confidence. It influences your perception even on life. You have certain freedoms, you know, that come with having more finances. You're willing to take more risks. You're willing to do more things. Your whole persona changes as a man in general. So yes, the money is a part of the influence, but the byproduct of those, the byproduct of having money is that it changes so many things about your life, including internally and externally. And actually, that's what actually draws women also in as well. So yes, having the finances is a major thing because it promotes stability. But then the other aspects is, hey, you know, a brother, like we see these rich people saying, I'm gonna fly you out. When you can say that, it changes the game. Imagine you just say to her, listen, hey, tonight, this weekend, I'm gonna fly you out. It changes the game. If you can say to a lady, listen, we're gonna buy clothes when we get there. Don't worry about that. We're gonna go on a shopping spree right now. Listen, as much as and of course, I'm not saying that in a gold digging way for anybody. I'm saying the influence of money, or the influence of being able to provide. Let's change the word money, because money just sounds so gold digging. The ability to be able to provide with the resources that he has makes that person a bit more attractive. In fact, I'm gonna quote another rapper. I'm an ugly man making sexy money. Jay Hus is a great example of what we're talking about here, right? That line is a great line, right? But a lot of women would give him play. They wouldn't have given him play if he was broke. I'm just gonna be real with you. He can say whatever he wants, and he will tell the truth himself. He knows he wouldn't have got play, because the money is what's changed. The money is part of it, but it's not just money. It's status. It's power. These things also create a dynamic of attraction. And so as men, we experience this because it goes back to being in school. You go back to school and you go and look at who was attractive. Not everybody who was attractive. Some people were attractive because they were, but some people were attractive because they were fighters. Some people were attractive because they were a sports person, right? Some people were attractive because they had the older cousins, they were gang warfare. Like you suddenly realize that not everyone was attractive because they were good looking at the face, but because they held power and they could hold status in the community that they're in. This also creates attraction. So it's not directly just money, it's what money can bring to the table. So, and as men, we have to understand that too. Because if you come to the table with just money, like you're saying, Bill Gates ain't got no swag. You mentioned Bill Gates, you mentioned Bezos, they ain't got no swag. Zuckerberg, they ain't got no swag for you. They ain't got no swag for you. No, you ain't got no swag for you. They ain't gonna swag for
Yeah,
you.
I didn't only mention them. I did also. This is why I said actors is a
Who
good
else did you mention?
actors. I named you hella actors who were good looking. This is what I'm saying. It's like my thing is that's why I said celebrities is a good point because as you said, Kojo, celebrities you didn't know them before the money. You didn't know how they were before the money. You only knew them at this point when they're successful. And I think I agree with you guys. I'm not even saying that. That's what I said.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing. We're not saying it's not a thing. I guess what I'm saying is that the money, yes, makes you can dress nicer, you can have yourself looking on point. But if I see you and I'm not attracted to you, you're still not gonna get play. Like for example, Drake is a perfect example. Before the money, nah. After the money, yeah. Like it doesn't. The way I see Drake doesn't change just because now he's worth, close to how
But
much.
you are very rare. Listen, I get the point that you
But
said.
that's my point.
You're rare because
That's my
the
point.
amount of play you get. So let me ask you this question.
I'm not saying that money doesn't count for a. That's a thing. I said it before. There's women out there, like Charlene said. There are men out there who aren't quintessentially attractive. They got money and they've got a beautiful woman on their arm. Of course, it's a thing. But that's.
I got a question for you now, Dan. So you telling me if The Rock was the fat manager at the grocery store? Because I got a dude at my grocery store just like The Rock. He just fat because he didn't have the money to work out 7 times a day, right? So he got The Rock face, but he got the dad bod, right? You said that he still would be attracted to him because he still looked like The Rock.
That's fair. Now, see, The Rock is a bad example because The Rock has always been ripped. I'm just gonna give you that. The Rock is a real bad example.
He always had money.
No, The Rock did not. The Rock did not always have money.
Don't tell us this road girl. You're gonna get so in trouble.
He did not. When I'm saying, if you've watched the show Young Rock, you know the Rock family was poor. He was not. Even his dad, when he was a wrestler, was not making money. The Rock only started to become well off when he started doing movies. Okay.
No, I get, but he had enough money to be able to do the stay in shape because it was a requirement as a wrestler to stay in shape. So he was spending that money for supplements, different things like that. Those are things that contribute to having money. Like a dude ain't got the money to buy supplements, ain't gonna look like The Rock.
I mean, yes, but when you look at The Rock's life, even when he was a wrestler, he wasn't making a ton of money. And for example, there are men out there who work out, they're not making a ton of money. Like, you can go and get a gym membership right now. You don't have to make a ton of money to look good. That's just my point. But when you're talking about people who quintessentially are just attractive, like what Kojo said, they're going to get play. Now, I'm not saying that if maybe you're not maybe let's say for example you're an average man, you get money, you make yourself look good, and then you encourage that swagger and stuff, and you've got a lot of money. I'm not saying that you won't get women. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for me personally, if the money is the only thing that is there, then they're still not, because I'm just going to look at you with contempt all the time. When you start to say something I don't like, kind of what you guys have just been saying this entire time. When you look at the guy, you have an argument, what, because he's got money, now all of a sudden you're going to be, oh, no, you guys just spent this whole time telling us that I need to be attracted to you, because if we're in an argument,
I agree.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. That women don't.
Well, but you guys, that's not my perspective. I feel like it's no reason for me to be disrespectful to my wife, whether I'm attracted to her or not. Like, I can't just be disrespectful because now I'm not attracted to her, or I can't like start talking crazy. I get it, like, because I don't agree with that.
But were you attracted in the beginning, though? E, were you attracted in the beginning, though?
I believe that I don't believe that it's people on earth that people are not attracted to. I think that's a bad argument.
So, can you just answer the question directly? When you met your wife, or if you want to take your wife out of the equation because she's your actual wife, but like anybody you've dated, the women you've dated in the past, have you been attracted to them when you met them and dated them?
No, it was definitely this one chick. It was this one chick that I was not attracted at all. And the loyalty that she had to me is what made me start being so attracted. When I say that girl had my back, I mean the worstest time I had financially, she looked out for me, and that was so attractive to me. So I don't think attraction is the biggest thing, but that is my standard.
Okay.
If your standard is that attraction is something that big to you, that's something totally different.
We understand. So let's just stay there with that situation. So without being too specific, why didn't that relationship work?
I think that relationship didn't work because she left me. I would have married that woman. To be honest, like, listen, like she left me for whatever reason.
Okay,
it's cool. It is what it is.
Okay.
Was she
no, then that's fair. Then I think that sticks to your point, right? Attraction for you really is just it's not a major factor, and that's okay. But I think what we're saying is for most people, you know, or for a good chunk of us, it is important. At least those that represent an opinion on this panel, right? And some in the comments. We feel like attraction is important. We're not saying, you know, we're gonna hang our hats and that's the only thing that's important, but we're saying at a very base level, if we're gonna be in a relationship, especially a long-term one, I need to look at you and feel some energy. I need to look at you and I want you to look at me and I want you to feel some energy. I don't want you to feel the ick, or I don't want you to have an ick in your head and then you have to replace other things to be attracted to me, like, oh, fill in the blanks, whether it's money, whether it's my status, whatever it is. I want at a very base level for you to feel attracted to me and I feel attracted to you.
Yeah, that grew for me for her. So the woman that I'm talking to initially, because you asked about initial, I was an attraction, but once we start spending time and we start like kicking it, I believe you get attracted to people you spend the most time with. I could put look like, but will disagree with me. I can take the ugliest woman on the world and put him on an island. I come back in 5 to 10 years, they gonna have kids. They gonna be living like this idea.
Yeah, maybe for you, but it won't be for me. You gonna find me swimming to another island because if I ain't feeling you,
I can't swim. So I'm stuck. I can't swim. So I'm stuck.
No, I just think
build a boat, Kojo. Build a boat.
Oh, if there's a boat, then I would have boated either way. Isn't it?
Listen, I'm just saying the people that you spend the most time with, it is proven that you become attracted to.
Nah, bro.
No,
I'm not with you on that. Because I can look at your face every day, and if you ain't attractive, it ain't gonna change. And I'm probably gonna get more pissed off the more I spend time with you if I'm not attracted to you. That's just me, and that's how I work. Now, you might have some endearing qualities, and we might be able to be the best of friends, but that's about all it's ever gonna be.
I get what you're saying, but I guess that's the difference between being in the
who's mic is that?
Wait, hold on. Go for it, Precious. Wait, hold
on. Yeah, that's the difference between being in the friend zone and not being in the friend zone. Because, you know, when you spend a lot of time with your friends, your best friends, and if you've got a best friend who's, you know, the opposite sex, the difference is that there's no physical attraction there. But you care about that person, you know, you love that person, but you're not looking at them in that way. But I think I guess my thing is that yes,
Precious.
You use what?
You ain't never slept with none of your friends that was in the friend zone?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's a conversation for another day. We definitely
once you're in the friend zone, once you're in the friend zone, the thing is with me, if I put you in the friend zone, I put you in the friend zone because I know that that's where you're going to stay. I've never been, and I'm somebody who I will never say never, but up to my 29 years of life, I have never been in that position where I see somebody who is in the friend zone and I'm like, oh, actually, maybe. That's just never happened.
Well, Precious, the woman that we was talking about, I put her in the friend zone and she escaped. Oh no, she escaped. She got out.
I don't know why you ain't got no locks in your friend zone. That's a problem. You got no locks in your friend zone.
Yeah, and also not many men do that. Men men specifically are very notoriously black and white about their friend zone. If that's a man,
men let their women out. Listen, men let the friends out. Like, men, to be honest on this panel,
they don't.
They don't have
No, we
women
can't.
that was in
I
there.
can't agree with you. We don't let them out.
Okay.
Unless you're trying to smash, you know you don't let them out.
They don't.
You know you don't let them out. Unless you're trying to smash, you know you don't let them out, bro.
And if that was the case, they were never in the friend zone completely from the beginning. Yeah, no. So if you're in the friend, listen, E. If you're in the friend zone because there is no attraction to then that's where you will stay, unless that person is completely maniacal, which is like, a small percent of the population, and they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna take advantage of my friend. But most guys are not just going to throw you in there. If there's no attraction at all, it might not be a full attraction, then, that's not completely friend zoning. Women friend zone men differently. Like, they'll put you there because they don't see nothing in you, but they are willing to have you hang around in orbit to see what you might bring down the line.
So men, let me ask the men, y'all never escaped the friend zone either? A woman had you in the friend zone and you got out and you smashed?
I've escaped, but I'm trying to tell you that you said
you escaped. Exactly.
I escaped. No, but you said about men having women.
Yeah, women. Yes, you can escape a woman's friend zone. Of course you can. But men, it's a lot more difficult to do that.
Way more difficult. We're very good jailers. We put them in and we put them in permanently.
Yeah.
Listen,
you know what I mean? So in my
we've reached our 3-hour mark, guys. We've reached our 3-hour mark. So we can continue the conversation behind the scenes. But Sean, if I can just give me a quick benediction, and I'm gonna get Jay also to give me a benediction as well. So we round up a good day. Go for it, Sean.
I'm gonna give it a try because we've been on the great adventures loop to loop with this convo. But listen, as we often say, how you begin is very important. And you should start from a solid foundation, right? Don't settle. Don't feel like you've settled. Make sure you feel satisfied in your relationships and in the way you start your relationships.
Beautiful stuff. Jay, give us the benediction. You're the last person to give us a summary benediction.
Which Jay? Which Jay? Me?
Yes, you. Sorry, I thought it was more than one Jay. My bad.
And I'll just add, because of what Sean said, is when you don't do that, is what we're now currently seeing when it comes to marriages or long-term relationships, because the foundation wasn't right in the first place, and it's taken time for these things to come out simply because we're different in this generation. This isn't our grandparents' generation or the generation before, or even biblical times. Even though there are scriptures, like you say, Koja, in the very beginning, that say she was beautiful, she was this, she was that, right? So for me personally, I'm going to say don't do it. But if you are doing it and you are able to still build a healthy and successful relationship or marriage, it's okay. The only thing I'm concerned about is where this is the very thing that causes problems later. You don't need to put yourself through all of that. Just make sure you can do it. And at the same time, I don't understand why anyone would want to be with someone if that person says to them, I really don't find you attractive, if they're going to be honest.
All right, cool. Thank you. Listen, audience, thank you so much for the conversation. It's been a good 3 hours. We brought in UK and US together. Loved it, actually really good vibes from all of you. And hopefully we get to have some more of these kind of conversations where we can branch the gap between US and UK. But listen, audience, thank you so much. Make sure you like it, you share, and you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We'll be back a little bit later on, actually, because the live Chris and I think you're going to be on. Chris's interview from Ready to Love is going to be on. So I cannot wait to tap into that. And then we're going to do a review on Chris and Jessica from Ready to Love. So make sure you guys tune in for that in about a few minutes. But for those of you who are still here, baby, listen. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. Bye-bye. Okay? Bye-bye. Appreciate you guys. Much love. Much appreciation.